What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of BongoBros Podcast. I'm your host, Ariz and I'm joined with, of course, my brother as usual, Farhan Fuad. And today, we're still on Premier League, obviously, but we're tackling more of, like our specific team, Chelsea, of course, in a bit of a crisis right now. But let's just get started. So, how you feeling, bro?
Bro, I'm really worried about this season actually. Like at the beginning of the season we were talking and like we had like such high expectations for a bit, but then every time when we talked about Chelsea middle of the call, we were like, are we expecting too much? And I think like the amount of players that we have, that's something we're gonna talk about, I think, in more detail. And I don't know, even though we had like some sort of a preseason this season, even though Poch also had one and we performed very well like last preseason too, and we also have that in for us. So I don't know. What do you think about Maresca so far?
Maresca so far is a bit bipolar for me. I mean, obviously the Wolves just played Madueke and Palmer insane, but then Man City like big team drastically shitting the bed, and then Crystal Palace. I don't know how we drew that. That's just we weren't pushing as much. We can't finish in the final third, and
Mhm.
we're gonna have to go broad deeper into the season as we go. But I still feel like Maresca might not be the complete fit, but we have to give him time at the same time. And
Um.
obviously preseason wasn't that good.
Also, I felt like last preseason, Poch had like a more of a definitive plan, even though he did not stick to his plans later on. Like we start, how we started with Martin and like he
Yeah, that
finished
last
playing like
stretch of the season.
yeah, like he was almost playing like a inverted left wing back role, and
Yeah, yeah,
I think that was suiting Chelsea a lot, also with like Nkunku fit at that time. And currently, I don't know, like I don't know, Maresca's real plan with Nkunku. So far, it's been like he's been there, he's been given some sort of a in midfield, but it's not really clicking so far. What do you think?
yeah. In Kuku last season, like obviously he came out after his injuries, still scored a few, but there's no clear direction with him. Now, Potts last
Mhm.
season he was cooking. I remember with like the first game he inverted Kukurea. Oh my god, what a display! And from
Mhm.
that point, and especially like from the United match, the 4-3 comeback, the Palmer hat trick, I think that was our turning point of the season. Like that's where we like had our like great stretch. We had like a unbeaten home run for like 14 something games, and then like we
Mhm.
managed to get six right European football.
Mhm. And also, like I feel like Poch's strategy coming into Chelsea, like I don't think like he would Tottenham route because like certainly they're like Harry Kane and Son had electric pace and Harry Kane was always lethal. So like that like always worked in their favor, like quick counters, pushing the midfielders high up the pitch sometimes at times, and also having like a strong pivot. And this comes to Chelsea's point, like the pivot of like Enzo has not been working so far. And like I feel like at the end of the season, we had like a stretch of like 8 games where Kaisode was like really coming into life and like really fitting into. But like then again, this season, you know, it's much more of the same. And like that is
Yeah,
something that worries me because like Lavia hasn't played in a while now, and he has been injured for the
Lavia did
entire
really well
last
in
season.
preseason though, so I actually have pretty high hopes for
Mhm.
him.
Even in like Lavia when he used to like be fit, right? Prior to coming
Yeah,
to Chelsea, like I felt like he was a player that like Chelsea can use like as like a John Obi Mikel role.
yeah,
Just like
like more of a depth player.
yeah, like bolder people and like like really jockey the ball and like hold
Yeah, yeah,
possession before so we can transition. And also like I feel like our entire style of play should be like based on transition plays. And I feel like we should focus more like on Cole Palmer and Madueke because Palmer should be given a role behind the striker, even though our striker is a bit of a big question right now. So what do you think about
we'll
that?
get to that in a bit. Jackson, oh, what a what a show. Now, what worries me? is like, especially the fact that we lost one of our most important transitional players, one of our most important integral pieces to the team in general, Gallagher, and I don't know who's gonna replace him. Especially even when Enzo was gone, Caicedo and Gallagher were the reason we made that stretch. Like, no offense to Enzo, I love Enzo. He actually he plays really well, but that fit was just insane.
Hmm. And also like Maresca's style of play. If you follow like Leicester last season in the championship, they
Yeah.
had like a high pressing style, which also had pressing, but like Chelsea players were a bit more reluctant in the first phase of the season
I mean, you can't
compared to
really
last
compare
season.
the championship to the Premier League, but at the same time, you can kind of see the style, and then you can kind of see how it's affecting Maresca,
Mhm.
right?
No, like I'm just saying like how Maresca will implement that high style of play, high pressing style of play in Chelsea because like I feel like Enzo Caicedo is like good at pressing, like he can get into the spots really well, and he can slot into the CM role or the CDM role pretty well. But at the same time, I feel like Enzo is a bit more strategic, he's a bit more offensive minded at times, and his defensive support is much more like he holds the ball and like gives it off to the best next best option. And because Enzo has a bit more
Enzo's really
creativity
good at
there.
like holding the ball. He doesn't lose it much. You can't take him off the ball.
Mhm. And I feel like Andrew's creativity is something that we have to use much more. But from like not in like the most forward position. Like his job should be to transition the ball to like Cole Palmer. And then
Yeah.
rest of it should be like Palmer, Madueke and Kunku Jackson, Mark Gui even. To like link up.
That pronunciation was horrendous. Gooey. Nah, but yeah, Giu, he needs a bit more time. I feel like playing like the cup competitions. Now, what worries me the most about this team, we have a very creative, well set midfield and attack, especially our attack. But what worries me is our backline. Our backline is leaking so much. You can see
Bro,
from
I
like the
don't.
start of the
Okay,
season.
okay. Pause here, right here. Like, who recruited Badiashile, bro? You tell me. With so much money, time, resources, everything, we're
We even
buying
have a
players.
chant for it. Why do we have a chant for Badia Shil? The most,
Bro,
he's
and
so
then
bad.
we kicked out Trevor Chalobah, who was
He might not actually.
literally
He
getting.
might come back. You know, like how
Hey,
he was
that's
exiled.
like later though. You know, like
Yeah.
I feel like we treated him wrong. Like, Badiashile hasn't done anything. No, the chances he has done so far. On the
You see
other hand,
how
Chalobah has
you
been
see how
given
Chalaba came
top
back last
chances.
season from injury. Like aside from the City game, the City play didn't play that good. But from there, he played so well at the business end of the season, and
Mhm.
I surprised how anybody in the Chelsea board can still trust Badiashile. It's a war crime.
Bro, Badiashil's positioning is one thing that I did not understand. Like there's so many times like we were up like 1-0 or like it's like 2-1 and like Badiashil does something so erratic, like and like it completely messes up the flow and ebbs and flow of the game. Something like they have to address. And also like what do you think about our goalkeeper situation, bro? Like I don't know, like
Yeah.
last season we kinda took out like Sanchez and then now
Yeah,
we
I was
put
just about
Sanchez
to
back.
address this. Robert Sanchez, he's the complete package. Now he has these parts of really good moments, really good saves, but sometimes his brain just stops functioning. I don't know what happens to him. Like he has brain farts. Genuinely, he randomly just walks the ball into his own net. Takes the ball, like, gives it the what do you call it? Yeah, the City game. He practically gifted the ball to whoever. What I think it was Rico Lewis, and just gave it to Kovacic for free. As I was saying before, the technical difficulties, right? It's not just Sanchez. I'm extremely worried about our entire back line. Like Fofana in preseason showed absolute shit show displays. Like I'm sorry, I love the guy. He used to play so good for Leicester, especially in the FA Cup run. But just look at this clip. Hang on, let me show this.
So I had so much expectations from Fofana. He's just been
Yeah,
like letting me
like
down,
see
and
this
then the
here.
ACL injury happened, bro. Like,
Yeah, letting go of Chalobah is actually one of our big mistakes. Look at this. How do you let go of it like that? It's a sloppy long ball. And look at this. Kovacic is allowed so much space on this attack. Like you know he's gonna take the shot, and yet they leave him with so much space.
Bro,
It's like
we
shooting
let
by
a guy
mistake.
we let a guy score who never scored, like when he was with us.
He's never
And
scored for
like
us. Why is he scoring against us?
bro, like the whole match I was like, we actually have a shot. Like we actually played like decent football, for the first game of the season. We kind of built
Yeah,
upon that with the work. But like the Crystal Palace game, bro, like that game was the game that pissed me off the most. I think out of all the games that this season, including the Conference League games, and I think like I don't know, like one thing I don't know why we didn't get like Dewsbury Hall. I know he really worked well with like Leicester and like getting up in
Maresca, like
those
under Maresca.
under Maresca, like he was getting up from the defensive to offensive positions in midfield really quickly. And like that
Yeah,
really helped Leicester push up the ball fast up the pitch and like get it to Vardy like as quick as possible. And like, but I don't know if that will work with Chelsea because of our pivot of Enzo and Caicedo because they've been they've been trying to be more ball dominant this season. I feel in the midfield, and that does not certainly help Dewsbury Hall's game.
yeah. Disbriol would likes to like move it up quick, and like Enzo and Caicedo are more controlling. They take it like a bit slow, but at the same
Also,
time,
what
I
do
feel like yeah, what? And no, I feel like Enzo and Caicedo's game kind of like contradict each other sometimes. Like Enzo tries to move the ball up on his own in his own style of play, and Caicedo tries to move it up with like triangles and just transitions with the entire team. As Enzo tries to show off his individualism.
so why do we have like Sancho though? I think like the Neto transfer was like enough to
Yeah,
cover
wasn't
our
Neto and
difference.
Felix already enough? Where did Sancho come from? I have the
Bro,
same question.
also is Chukwumeka injured? He's injured, right? Like right now?
I I think
Let's look that up real quick.
yes, sir. But speaking of
Chukwu.
injuries, I'll just add on one topic. Reece James, bro, his
Bro, I
legs are made
honestly
of
like,
glass.
bro, I honestly like forgot like where he is, like what he's doing. He
What,
supposedly out there.
Chupamecca or Reece
Like,
James?
Reece James, bro, he's like a mad talented player. Like I've loved Reece James ever since he scored in Champions League for us. And like from that day onward, I also Reece James. So what do you think about this Reece James situation? Like it's so bizarre. Like I don't know how Chelsea will like deal with this going forward.
His hamstrings are made out of glass, bro. Bro, didn't he get surgery at the end of last season?
Bro, I feel like the amount of surgeries he got, I think there's nothing to get surgeries on him.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's basically like replaced, attached, taped every ligament, and yet it's not working. He got injured within what 2 games in the first season. Oh.
One eternity later.
So enough about Reece James, right? Enough about such a depressing stuff. Let's talk about someone that has potential, but at the same time, we're not really sure. Jackson, what are your thoughts on
Bro, honestly, like if I was depressed, Jackson like makes my depression worse, you know? And like some of the misses last season, bro, like were just like I felt like he needed a bit of polishing for finishing, and like he lacks a bit of confidence up front. But this season, I think I don't know, something has changed about him. He's getting into the spaces as he used to last season. Except like sometimes this season, like as you saw, like both the second match day and the third match day, like he was getting into those pockets of spaces, and especially in the third match day, like against Crystal Palace, like that goal was very well taken. Like even though it was a simple tap in to get into those spaces and like
Yeah,
get
his
at the end of the
positioning
box.
sense has improved much more. Yeah, So, like about Jackson, right? Jackson looks a lot better this season. He has improved his finishing. Because look, last season when it mattered the most, like let's say the City game, the FA Cup semi-final, right? Uh, it was a bit of a robbery, me personally. But even without like the shady handball call or whatever, Jackson, if he finished his chances, he could have genuinely finished with like a borderline double hat trick, and that's not even over exaggerated. If you go back and see the match, he has so many missed one on ones. I think he had like one or two open nets. He could have finished with like 3 or 4 goals minimum. The amount of chances
Bro,
he
I'm
has.
telling you, if Jackson scores 20 goals, we're good. We'll be
Yeah,
like top
he had
six.
a decent debut season. To be fair, you can't really say much because he did score like
No,
15
but
goals. If
like
I'm not
it's like statistically it's 15 goals, but bro, out of the 15 goals, like three or four of them came like a hat trick came in the Spurs game.
yeah, had the Spurs
So the
match.
rest of the game, like he scored 12 goals. So it wasn't like it kind of looked statistically nice, but like he impactful last season.
Yeah,
Last season he was just
like
frustrating to watch, bro.
the amount of chances that were created for him, he could have genuinely scored like 30, if not more.
Mhm.
And if you, especially if he's a bit more creative, like put Osimhen in that situation, he's winning the Golden Boot and like competing for Haaland's record.
Bro, I don't know, like I always felt, when I see like Jackson's game and how I feel like he can easily become like a left winger, like easily slot in there because like he's very good like on the ball. His finishing is like that what's lacking, which is the most important part of
Yeah,
like a striker, and this is what Chelsea needs. Like historically, when we have had success, we have had like a lethal striker. And, like, so far, I wouldn't call him this thing from
he's
but
not
like
lethal. That's a completely wrong term.
yeah, like he's like the farthest thing from lethal. So like that is something he has to work towards, and like this season is make it or break it for him. By December, I think like when we review half mid-season, like I think we'll have a clear mindset as to like what's happening with Jackson and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, you could like kind of try Nkunku in that position, but like as far as we know, it's better than Jackson. But we'll have to wait and see. Jackson is I watched Poch's preseason last season, right? And I genuinely thought he's like a winger because he was getting assists upon assists, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
he could be good as like a support player, like a false man or like a winger, that kind of role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I see him playing up front. I'm like, you serious? And then I see his finishing, and I genuinely, but he's a good playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
He could genuinely fill in for like a winger role at time to time. They should try him out in that
Honestly,
kind of
like
position.
I don't really mind him flopping in the small games, even though he usually scores in them. But also, I just want him to like show up in the big occasions. Like once
Yeah,
you get a goal, once you get a start, like keep pushing that momentum on. I think like somewhere around like the 50, 60 minute mark, if you're on the pitch, like you lose a lot. And his decision making, like as the game, he starts minute
yeah,
one like with, with like a lot of energy, a lot of like, prime decision making, right? And then like
yeah.
he just like kind of switches off, which is something like I've seen with a lot of Chelsea players, particularly our backline. But like I think the backline has will go through more testing and like trial and error this season, particularly because we don't have Thiago Silva, and like that is something that we need to see. And like even though we trusted Disasi a lot last season, I'm not really sure about Maestro being too keen.
Disasi needs to get more consistent is the issue because sometimes like he's like Sanchez, he has those brain farts.
No, yeah, like I would say that, but also at the same time, like it's fucking frustrating to watch like Badiashile, bro. Like Badiashile is like he can be so imposing. He can literally be like Nicolas Sula from like Borussia Dortmund. Like he can
Yeah,
have that role, but like he just decides to be mediocre.
you
He's just
can't really say
mediocre.
Sulis from Dortmund. He's played for Dortmund, Bayern, and Dortmund again, bro.
Yeah, but like I mean, like Dortmund is the phase of his career that has
Or
like
yeah, I mean like
particularly like whenever I think of him, like I think of that clearance against Mbappe.
I
Crazy.
think of Schalke, like Schalke Sulis.
Mm.
Enough
That
about
was a
Sule.
while ago. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We're straight
yeah.
off topic. Anyways, what do you think about the conference league spot though, bro? Like having like Palmer off. I think this is one of the advantages of
Yeah,
50 people squad, you know.
yeah. This is a good thing. See, this is why we should have this like the plethora of players, because it gives us so many options to play for cup games, European football, and this is gonna prove useful later down the line if we actually do qualify for Champions League. I hope, but Conference League, it's good that what is it? I think it's Lavia and Palmer, right? That both of them are removed because it gives the other players, especially like bringing in Sancho. Sancho's actually gonna be useful for something now. They can have more
Bro,
opportunities. Sancho.
honestly, like okay, a lot of Chelsea fans may be like, "Okay, this is the problem with Chelsea fans," but this is the truth. Like, I believe that like us being in the Conference League is the best thing that has happened to us in like the last 2 seasons because this will allow like all the players to like develop and like for Maresca, if he's around for next season, he can actually like implement much more of his like game plans into play, and like this gives us a chance to like thin down the spot too, you know, because people will be getting more consistent play time, and particularly with like the new formats, that is something we will go on in a completely different video
I
because
still
there
haven't
is
quite like picked up on it.
if I keep
I'll get
if
to
I
that in a
keep
bit.
rambling about that, like it'll take like an hour to do that. But like
That,
I
that's a
feel like
two-part episode, bro.
that's a two-part episode, bro. But like I feel like they have to like try like a different spot, and like the over reliance of Palmer has to go because like I feel like Palmer, even though like he's been alright in the beginning of the season, I think his energy is a bit down compared to last season because he's been overworked and he's playing a lot of football. And the calendar is pretty much stacked this year too. Like honestly, like fuck international
Yeah, we
football.
have the Club World Cup coming up
Like
as well too, in like the end
and
of
the
the
Club
year,
World Cup
right?
too. Yeah, so like we have to keep him fresh
He can't
and
catch
like
a
ready to
break, bro.
fire,
That's
you know.
bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he has to keep firing, bro. And like honestly, like I would rather have it for like a big game than playing against like a random like team in like Servette. Even though we lost against them, I
We're
can't even
playing
call
teams
them
in
random at this
Kazakhstan.
point. You
We're,
know.
we're calling we're no Servette was probably our best competition so far. We're playing teams in Kazakhstan, a team called Noah. I had no idea who they were until I saw Chelsea playing them, and like, God knows who else.
Bro, if Jackson can't cash in on this opportunity with all these opponents, if he can't find his level, like we gotta like find someone else, bro.
We've
Like
given him an
or like
opportunity
just
to
play
play
like
against
false
Armenian
nine. I
plumbers.
don't know. We should just like go false nine, call Hail Mary, and that's it, bro. Like
Not even
sometimes like
Jackson,
that's what
even
I think.
even Nkunku, Sancho, Felix, Neto. They should stat pad the hell out of the Conference League.
You know, like how sometimes when Morata let it go, and like Torres was like usually the substitute. They used to use
Yeah,
Griezmann back in the day, right? And
yeah, yeah,
Griezmann, like even tall and imposing, he's just like a regular like second striker type role. But bro,
yeah.
like he was lethal, bro. I feel like Nkunku has the talent, and with like consistent game time, he can have that.
That's how
So
that's
that
how
is
Griezmann
something.
kind of like came up.
That is something I'm looking forward to. Bro. Like that is something that will be good for France football too. Like I feel like Nkunku can have a role in that team, even though France is stacked. Like France is stacked. Like
Nah, but you
even
have to
though
understand. Listen, Nkunku right before he joined Chelsea was literally the top scorer of his league, the Bundesliga.
mhm,
He was
mhm.
playing against like
Bro,
top quality players.
Nkunku definitely has the talent, and like even though like I feel like okay, Palmer's our best player. I get it. He performed well last season, but like coming into like the Poch season, last season, like we all, I think we both can agree that we both agree Nkunku was like our man, like our star player,
Yeah,
and then it was the rest, everyone else, you know. So
it
like
was supposed to be
big
Nkunku. The hype was
expectations.
building up around him.
Hmm. Definitely. So like big expectations from him, definitely. And
Yeah.
like Madueke, I think I wanna end this discussion on Madueke because I feel like Madueke is someone if he stays fit can change our season. You know, like he's electric, he's dynamic, He's taking runs.
I've been like
That
ever since he like
like
arrived from PSV, you could see like the energy he brings. Like the first two seasons, like the first half of this last season, he wasn't doing that great, but you could see like the glimpses of what he brings to the team. Second half, he was doing really well. He doesn't show that mentality as well, especially like FA Cup semi-final. You saw Thiago Silva was crying because it was probably like his last major game, and no, he was just laughing with Grealish. So he's gonna have to work on that a bit. But the presence he brings to the wing, the creativity he has, I see the potential in him. Him and
bro,
Palmer, the thing they showed in the Wolves match, insane.
dude, did you see the recent Nations League game? Yeah, this like the last game.
Yeah, he
Madueke.
got off. He got on for like 10 minutes. He got an assist, right?
hmm Honestly, like I would love making a video of games like the friendlies, but like honestly, it pisses me off so much these friendlies. Like after the friendlies, like five very important key players for major teams are injured. Always, like I've never seen it like go well. These international
Fixture
breaks,
congestion is a major problem. We've seen that with Pedri.
bro. Like that's why like I used to love watching football like a couple of years ago. Like not even a couple of years. Like it's quite a while ago, like 7 8 years
Yeah.
ago. Because like it was just like it was less games, bro. It was that and like when you waited for games as a fan, particularly like you felt like oh there was like an anticipation to build up. And
It's
like
been 3 match weeks. How have we already got an international break? Why?
I get like like I get players are becoming more advanced. Football's becoming a bit more like evolved, but like at the same time, I think like players have more resources, but also player fitness is gone down to a certain extent. That is debatable. I think that is like a topic up for like debate. But like they have the resources, they certainly have the technology and everything, like especially like players in bigger clubs. So I feel like a lot can be done and a lot can be achieved in the future, but it's depends on planning entirely.
We'll see obviously in the future. So what's say? Do we end this discussion here and then we go from there?
Yeah, so concluding remark, do you have any like honorable mentions for our season? Maybe the top trio up front, Joao, Neto, and Madueke. Okay, not a trio,
Hmm.
maybe like four people.
It's more Palmer, Madueke, and like Jackson. That's it. I feel like
Mhm. So that's the top three you're going with this season.
if Sancho can prove himself, like the way he played at Dortmund, like for the Champions League campaign, maybe it's a possibility.
All right, guys. I think this is our first breakdown of Chelsea for this season, and I think around next season we will come back and review. As Chelsea fans, I think like we expect certain improvements from last season's performance,
Yeah, for
even
sure, for sure.
though even though I'm kind of skeptical of Maresca so far because we have not been that consistent, but it's too early
He
to
should get some
comment on.
time though.
I think like around like the 10, 15 match week, you will have a clear idea and we will definitely get back to you on that.
That's pretty much it, guys. We will see you in the next episode. I don't know when it's coming out. Let's see. We might even do an NBA episode soon. But yeah, we'll see you guys next episode. Peace.
Peace.